Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Juliet Ehimuan. I'm the country director for Google, leading our business across West Africa. We all know that education is a very important subject, and when we talk about marrying education and technology, that's incredibly empowering. The reality is that the world has changed. We now live in a digital world. Technology has completely transformed the way we live, the way we work, interact with one another, and increasingly the way we learn. We're in a digital world, and the digital revolution started at the turn of this century and has really democratized access to information and is also characterized by a ubiquitous access to the internet. In the past, the most powerful companies were companies that developed physical assets, for example, automobile companies. But today, the most valued companies are software, for the most part, software companies like Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, and Microsoft. Technology has become an integral part of every business, every organization, including educational institutions. And if we want to stay relevant, if we want to differentiate ourselves, it's very important to integrate technology into the core of what we do. And there are many benefits to be had by doing that. Dictionaries and encyclopedias are online. There's hardly any subject matter now that does not exist online as a tutorial, an article, an op-ed, a webinar, a video, accessible for free or at a subscription fee. The reality is that technology will continue to drive the future. Africa's biggest challenges will not be solved by traditional methods of the past. With technology advancements like artificial intelligence and machine learning that we have today, these problems can be solved in radically different ways and more cost effectively. For example, today with your smartphone and a camera, you can predict diseases, you can predict severe climate conditions like droughts, and address issues like financial inclusion for the unbanked. Education should prepare our youth for the future, and you're all playing a very important role in preparing our young people for that future. And they're starting very early. We find that kids today are using technology devices to do various things. I'd like to share the story of Osine and Aneshi, two Nigerian young men, aged 9 and 11 respectively, who built a mobile web browser. They developed an interest in computing at the age of 7 and 9 and took coding as a hobby. They decided to set up a company which they called Doors, with Microsoft Windows as an inspiration, but eventually they had to change the name to Blue Doors when they discovered that the first name was already taken. They used sites like Code Academy, Code Avengers, and books like Android for Game Development and Games for Dummies to build capacity. And they developed this web browser, which they launched on the Mobango App Store, and then ultimately they moved this to the Google Play Store to be able to reach a wider audience. To date, they have over 500 downloads. If we equip our young people with technology and access to information and resources, there's no telling how far they'll go and what they'll do. They will do great things, and we're seeing a lot of examples that are testament to that fact. So I'd like to just talk about 3 applications of technology that would be of interest to a broad range of people in the room. The first is around developing students with world-class skill set. To be able to do this, we need to be able to provide access to world-class education resources. If we think about it as well, some of the changes that have happened over the years. In the past, to access the wealth of information in books, you had to go to a physical library. Today, the library of the world is online. And if you have a smartphone, you have access to the world's information at your fingertips. This is incredibly empowering. And it creates a level playing field because now a student from Covenant University or University of Lagos or Green Springs School or Meadow Hall has access to the same information as a peer at Stanford University or St. Mary's College or Harvard University. And so there's no reason why our young people cannot be the best versions of themselves. A great example of this, and there are many such examples, is the story of a Nigerian lady called Adaobi based in Abuja. Now, Adaobi was an aspiring developer, writing code at home in Abuja. Her dream was to be a skilled developer. She got a job that required her to move to Lagos. There she discovered the Google Africa Scholarships Program, which we were running in collaboration with Udacity and Andela. She applied and to her joy was accepted into the program. She had to share her time between her work and her study and would study modules on her phone in transit, sometimes in a Keke Marwa. Her hard work paid off and she passed her exams and became Android certified. Following that, she applied for a job as a developer. She was shocked at how smooth and easy the interview process was. Being a certified developer changed the game for her and she was offered the job, which in her words paid her 10 times her previous salary. When we talk about expanding learning outside the classroom, this is particularly important in a continent like Africa, where in a lot of our countries, there's a shortage of qualified teachers. And when you think about the population boom that is about to happen, that already exists and is about to happen, it's projected that by 2050, the African population would more than double from 1.2 billion people to 2.5 billion people. Then we really need to think about how to provide education at scale. Now, another story that really comes to mind and that I find very relevant is that of Julius Yego, a Kenyan athlete, a javelin thrower, who won the Olympic gold medal by learning how to perfect his craft through videos on YouTube. Now, Julius Yego was born into a modest family. He had a passion for sports and took an interest in javelin throwing. Of course, he could not afford to get a coach, least of all a world-class coach. And he just trained rigorously by himself to develop his physical ability. Now, browsing the internet, he found videos on YouTube of javelin throwers around the world, some of them champions. He watched how they trained and incorporated the same techniques into his training regimen. By observing other international players in this way, he realized the sport was within his grasp. He thought, I can beat these guys. He could not afford world-class coaches, as I mentioned, and so the YouTube videos filled those shoes. With persistence, hard work, and determination, Julius extracted every lesson he could from the videos and mastered his craft to the point of winning the Olympic gold medal. Now, that's a great example of someone creating opportunity for himself by leveraging the power of digital technology. For teachers who need to be constantly up to date, tools like Google Scholar can connect you with up-to-date academic research in any field. Empowered by technology, the possibilities for our young people are endless. And as I mentioned, they're starting to innovate from a very young age. There are a few more examples I'd like to share. One is, some of these are global, and there's one local example. So one is a young boy, I believe he's about 9 years old, who owns a YouTube channel called Ryan's Toy Reviews. Basically, he reviews toys, gets that his parents saw his passion for doing this, started to record videos of him doing this, and now on his YouTube channel, he has about 16 million subscribers, which is a really huge number. And we have a situation where toy manufacturers, in many cases, send their toys to him to review before launching in market. And of course, behind this, there is a monetization opportunity, which I'm sure his parents are taking advantage of. There's also the story of Marcus Brownlee, who started as a teenager on YouTube in 2009. He was 15 years old at the time. He's now 25 years old, and he was in high school when he started. What he did was, so he has a passion for electronics and would provide electronics tech reviews of electronic gadgets, hardware tutorials. He would review computers, etc. This is really about, taking passion and sharing it with the world. Today, he has about 9 million subscribers and over 1 billion views to his YouTube channel. He has become so popular that he's had Bill Gates and Elon Musk on his channel, and a lot of organizations like LG actually send their products to him for reviews before launching. These are just some examples. In Nigeria, we have a few of you, maybe all of you are familiar with Emanuela, the young girl who has talent in comedy, and her family around her have been able to just harness that to create comedic videos that are very popular and doing very well on YouTube with a fan base around the world. A lot of people have been discovered through platforms like YouTube. So I've talked about developing students with world-class skill sets. The second application I would like to talk about is in the broad area of service delivery. The use of enterprise resource planning systems can significantly enhance service provision. These are available either as off-the-shelf packages or customized solutions can be developed. Digitizing student records makes planning easier and shortens the length of transactions, for example, the processing of transcripts. Payroll and payment systems also save time, increase efficiency, and ultimately are more cost-effective. The third area of application I would like to highlight is around workplace readiness. We can augment existing curriculum by taking advantage of databases, modules, and resources online. One of the things that we as Google have committed to is providing free digital skills training to 10 million Africans in 5 years. So far, we've trained 5 million. And the reason for this is because we want to ensure that there's a basic level of digital appreciation that is available to our young people because of the power and the opportunity that provides. We're also providing training to 200,000 developers. We've trained 60,000 so far, and this is in collaboration with Udacity and Andela. We launched the Africa Scholarships Program, and it's available for students to apply, and it's for current as well as aspiring developers. The intention around this is just to ensure that they have job-ready skills and can really build innovative solutions for industry. Which brings me to the third broad area of application, which is around workplace readiness. It's important to extend curriculum by taking advantage of learning materials that are online to be able to ensure that students have the right skill set to be able to cope with the competitive challenges within the workplace. And there are win-win relationships that can be had and opportunities for monetization as well. On both sides, corporate organizations can be technical partners to educational institutions. Educational institutions can also provide research and development services to organizations and even training. And so that interplay is something that can be mutually beneficial. In summary, we all know that Africa has a high population of young, vibrant, and talented people. They're doing amazing things with very little, very creative. Imagine what's possible when they're further empowered and are able to amplify their work through the use of technology. If you think about the story of Anise and Osine, who built a mobile web browser at the age of 9 and 11 respectively. Let's not forget that WhatsApp was acquired a few years ago for $19 billion. And Google was started by Stanford University students. Our young people have the capacity to do great things. And with technology, in the not so distant future, I really look forward to hearing global success stories coming out of Nigeria and Africa. And you all have a very pivotal role to play in making this happen, and you're already doing a lot to make this happen. And so thank you very much for the great work that you do. Once again, thank you for having me and have a great conference.